watch list for Monday. You know, I don't do these as frequent as I used to, and I got a ton of content on there on my YouTube channel, and I think I might start doing more of these maybe next year. We'll see how it plays out. Just got a lot going on, so these things take time, and I don't get the views that you know, personally I feel like, you know, it's not. If it was catching on more, maybe I'd do it more, but it's not. So, but I guess I'm not really invested in it either. So I don't know. But I you know, you let me know if you want me to do more of these. I'll try to do more of these. Maybe like once every weekend or something like that. I'll try to do if I'm not too busy. But you know, I'm conflicted. Like if I should have started the video with like just already the watch list set up, or just build it. I think it's better to build it at least now, just so that, you know, that's how you learn. So, you know, I'm just gonna put 6 tickers on the watch list for Monday. Basically they're already here because I don't think I would add anything different than here. But let's pretend I'm gonna make a new one. So I'm gonna just do create watch list, and I'll put it for 12, 10, 18. And you know, guys, when I make a watch list, I look through the biggest percentage gainers and losers. That's pretty much it. You look for stocks with like the biggest percentages or the most volume, and then look for stocks that have some nice range, so you can, you know, take advantage of some of that volatility. And you know, I got different scanners here, but you always can go to FinViz. Like, you know, I've had a million videos. This is my YouTube channel, and you know, I have 156 videos on here. So there's a lot of content, but if you really want to know like where I'm at this stage in my trading career, start from this year, like especially like I think like February, March, and just watch the videos from there on, and you get a real knack for how I've been trading. One of the cool things that I realized was that Modern Rock is somebody who I follow on Twitter, and when he launched his service and I started watching his YouTube videos, he was talking about using lines. And if you've been watching my videos, I mean, I've been mapping lines for over a year now. I have years, you know, I have videos going far back as a year talking about, you know, mapping support and resistance lines and using them as anchors. And to see a guy like that who's been in the game forever doing it, you know, and I never seen a video of his or knew anything about how he traded until he posted those videos a few months, like 2 months ago, I think it is. You know, it's cool. It means that I'm on the right track, and that's why I've been so profitable, because I keep it simple. Especially this year, this year has been amazing for me. I mean, I'm just like night and day, complete 180 from where I was last year. You know, and I think I'm only going to improve. And the fact that I'm doing this for my job is even crazier, you know. But yeah. So anyway, so I'm gonna look for 3 stocks that, you know, we're gonna put on the watch list that gapped up, and then three that were gapped down. All right. So, you know, you can filter through this. Like, this is like a biggest percentage gainer kind of filter that I have, scanner that I have. You can also use FinViz to use the scanners to find there. I have a million videos on how I do that. And the most traded volume was NBR. NBR, you know, this is one of those shipping companies. You know, it hit a high of 330s, down to 302. I think it's probably going to continue to tank tomorrow, Monday, and probably break to new lows over the last year. This is the daily chart over the last year. The market is, you know, we're in recession, bear market not correction territory. This is, and it's gonna get ugly, and you're gonna see a lot less liquidity in the market because a lot of people are gonna stop trading because they're losing all their money. They're gonna continue to lose their money. People are gonna start losing their jobs, and you're just not gonna see the plays that you see now. Things are gonna get much harder. There's gonna be less opportunities over the next couple of years. That I could tell you with 100% facts. So I don't like this chart. I mean, there's potential here for short, I think, but I'm just gonna pick on some better ones. Let's look at Chrome. Chrome, I actually took a trade on Friday. I made some very good money trading Chrome and TLRY. I actually traded both at the same time. Called it out in the the Discord room that I'm in. It's free. Everybody does their own thing, which I love about the room. Like, nobody's there waiting to see what I say and follow what I do. Everybody does their own thing. They take what I taught them, how to map support and resistance lines, and they just apply it to what they do, and they trade their own setups. I love it. I don't feel any pressure to have to, like, be in there all the time. There's guys in there that trade full-time for a living, and they're like super knowledgeable, super helpful. It's fun. So I'm really glad the room is there. Crone, I think, you know, had this big gap up because it had some like agreement, and I don't know, some company, tobacco company, I think, bought a stake in Crone, so it had this crazy rip up, and then it kind of retraced. I took it short around here at this 1325 level. You know, I saw that what I waited to see was the break below, and once it broke down and it had that pop up, it was a test. Like, I knew it was a confirmation. Okay, this is on a downward trend, because it couldn't hold the move up, and I went short right in here, and I covered. I think it was, I was watching to see how it was gonna react. I didn't have the time because I was like working. I had to go teach, but I covered. I think once it broke below 13, I saw it come down, and I covered like right into this, like, I think it was like 1290 level. I think is where I covered. I actually was, my price target was this 1260 level. And I should have covered, but I got greedy. I was right. I mean, it actually broke down, got further down, but I just didn't have the time to hold through it and retrade it. But it was a nice trade. So in terms of Monday, let's do this. So I have all these support and resistance levels mapped. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna erase it just for you, just so you guys can see how I do this. It's very, very simple, and this will save you many DVDs of purchasing. Basically, what you do is you look at the so I just put a 90-day 30-minute time frame, and what you do is you want to go back and see, okay, where's the price currently? All right, so it hit a high of 1450, 1460, so I want to start there. I doubt it's going to get back there Monday. I mean, anything's possible, but the probability of it getting back there is very low. So you can say, okay, so there's some resistance above. So just, this is a 30-minute time frame. You can do this on a 30-minute or the 15-minute, and I would map these levels above just in the event if it broke above it. Now, I don't think it's getting back here. I think it's going to give it all back Monday. I think it's going to be a great short opportunity. That's my personal you know, take on it. But what are you looking at is like, okay, so now what you want to see is, I zoom out here, and I'm gonna zoom in here. So what was the high? This was the high, this was the low, right? This is where like the move started, and then when it gapped up, so I'm mapping my lines, right? And here's the spike, and this is kind of where I'm mapping where it changed direction. So you see where it started here, it changed direction here, it found support here, and then it found resistance here, right? So these are the levels that I'm looking at to see how it's going to react. And then in theory, you could map this level and this level here as well, because these are levels where it kind of like bounced. If you wanted to be particular, you don't have to be. I like to be, but you don't have to be. And then what I'm doing is I'm looking. So let's say I'll just do the 5-day 5-minute, and I want to see how it's going to react. Now, what I also like to do is here. Let me put it back. In like 30 days. I want to see is there was like previous. If I go further back in time on the chart, I can see, oh, all right, over the last 30 days it hasn't been this high. So let's go 90 days. All right, so you can see like if I go back and I'm looking at the stock, all right, I'm looking to see where those previous support and resistance levels are, and to me, you know, they're key. So like if you notice, look at this, the stock bounced here. That's where it had support below. That's where it started from, right? And you can see it gapped up here. Look at that, you see, and you know, gapped up here, and then here it had. This is kind of where it kind of had some overhead resistance here, and then it pulled back. So I would look to these levels because these are levels that the stock may react to. And then if you wanted to be do your due diligence, then you want to see, okay, what's the next level of support below. So I would map this only because this is where it peaked. All right, and I seen stocks do this, like come down to these levels and then run. You know, you never know. So I just like to have them there just so that I know. So if I'm going down here and I'm looking down, you know, when the stock was down here, I would look to map these levels. So I would like definitely map this, because this is where it pivoted, and then this is where it spiked here, and then, you know, this is kind of where it peaked here and then pivoted. So I would map all these levels, so that, you know, I just know potentially where it can pull back to, so that if it fades, then I know where to take the trade. So like So if you notice, it found a lot of support here in this, I want to say like 1260 level. All right, there's a lot of support here. Now, it found support here 1250 as well. So if it can't hold 1250 tomorrow, I mean, my guess is that this thing is gonna head back to at least this 1189 level, and that would be my price target, 1189. If it didn't. Now, what you want to see is, let's say the market, starts tanking pre-market, and it starts dipping down, and then the market opens at 9:30. What you want to do is you want to be patient. You don't want to just chase it go down, because what if you chase it and it rips up? So what you want to see is a test. You want to short a pop. You want to see a test. So if the stock, let's say, broke down here at this 1250 level, right, and then it's heading down to 1236, and the market opens. See how you have all this consolidation here, 1260? You want to see it rip and then test this level. And if it gets rejected here in this 1250, 1260 level, then you can go short risking this level, because this is where all the consolidation is. So it's going to need a lot of volume in order to break this and continue higher. We're in a bear market. Trump is a maniac. He got, they can't arrest him because he's president, but he basically got, they couldn't indict him, but they basically called him, he has 2 felonies. He committed 2 felonies in the state of New York. So, all that is going to hurt the market one day, and it's going to have a negative reaction. And you notice he tried to pump the market Friday, talking about the talks were good with China. Normally that would send the market up. Nobody gave a shit. He's lost like all his credibility, so he can't even pump the markets up. And we're in, for a rough ride over the next, few years. I say 5 years, maybe more. It's going to be really bad. So, just buckle up. So that's what I'm looking at with CRON. So this, now if it holds this 1260 level, then let's say if it breaks above it, pulls back and kind of bounces and consolidates here, then you go long, risking 1261 or even 1250, because you got a lot of support there at that point. But I think what happens is it's going to break down, it's going to pop up, it's going to get rejected, and it's going to fade. All right, so we're going to put CRON. And I'm sorry, I was trying to make this quick, but I'm trying to explain this to you guys so that it makes sense. I'm trying to make it make sense. That's why you got all these lines. So that's why it looks crazy like this, but when I'm in a trade, I'm like zooming in, so it doesn't look as bad as it looks here. So in this grid, I have the 2 minute, the 5 minute, the 15 minute, the daily. That's kind of how I have it all set up. You don't need all these lines, honestly, but I'm just adding them to show you. All right, how I sort of map things. Okay, so let's look through. Next up, KGC this is too choppy. Like, I really want to look at this because the range is not there. It's too choppy. ACB, I probably would look at ACB because CRN, right? So this is a sympathy of CRN, meaning these are other wheat stocks that moved because one of the stocks in the group of wheat stocks had a big move. So the other stocks react based on that main play. So what I would be looking to see with ACB, and I'm going to add it to the watch list, is watch CRN. If CRN goes red, guess what ACB is going to do? It's going to go red too. All right. So you can, and then maybe you because it's less crowded, you go with ACB instead of CRN, unless people are paying attention to it. So here's ACB. All right, and I'll do the same thing that I did here. I'll clear this and just set this up just to show you how I would do it. So let's pull up 30-day, we'll put a 15-minute chart. All right, so this is where it kind of hit its high, right? So I'm going to start here at this 588 level, and you can see there's a lot of consolidation level here. That's why I couldn't break it, right? And then I would see where it was above. So here, this is kind of where it pivoted. So that 597 to me matters, because it topped out here and then this is where it went on this fade, right? And if I zoom in, I'm looking at the different range. So here is kind of where it bounced, and then here, right in this level, this is sort of like where you see a lot of consolidation. So this 566, 570 level would be an area that I would be interested in. If it broke down and it spiked and it couldn't hold this level, this is where I would go short and risk off of. That's why you have the lines there, is it helps guide you in your trades. You know how many times, and with Thinkorswim, like when you set your lines, it stays there forever. You know how many times I pull up a chart that I haven't looked at in 6 months, and a stock is literally getting rejected into a level that I had mapped 7 months ago, and I go short because I trust my line so much, So you know, if I think the news on Chrome didn't really do anything crazy, so if it pulls back Monday, I would expect this to pull back with it. So you want to see, all right, what's the next support levels below? So the level here seems to be a key support level, this 540 level. So I would map this 540 level. You can see it's a lot of support there. So if it breaks down below 540, this was a level where it kind of bounced off of, this 531. So I'm mapping it because this is where the trend reversed and it started moving. And then, you know, you just zoom out and see, all right, so where would be the next level below? So I would say for me, the next key level below would be 520 because this is where it kind of bounced. And then, you know, I would map a level here like this 504. This is a key level, and then there's 511. So these are the levels that I would be looking at to see how it reacts to potentially bounce. All right, and that's what I'm gonna be looking at for Monday. Now, if it breaks above 589, then you gotta look to see how it's gonna react to $6, and then there's a huge consolidation level here at 603, and then, you know, it's gonna need a lot of volume to keep moving, and I don't think it's gonna get it Monday. So I think it's gonna pull back, but you never know. So that's what I'm looking at. All right, so that's two longs. All right, the two gap ups that I found. Gold is gonna, I think it's, as long as the market continues to tank, expect gold to continue to move up. So just keep an eye on gold, please. I'm not gonna put this on the watch list, but be on the lookout. This may continue higher if Monday the market's shitty. DNR, now DNR got some range. You got almost well, not that much, but like what, 35-40 cent range. Got up to like 255 and it pulled back. I mean, this is something in theory I would potentially look at and then maybe short, but I'm gonna look at some other stocks. I'm gonna look see if I find something with more range. You know what, I'm just for the sake, no, let's see what else we got here. All right, we got EQT. This thing spiked and then faded. So let me see. Yeah, this thing has, if it, look at this, it could potentially fill the gap above. I mean, this would take a long time to do it. I don't know what type of stock this is. This is what, EQT, gas, natural gas and oil, which I think is down. It's on its way down. But I'm not gonna put that on the watch list. I'll give you something a little bit simpler. Nope. CDAC. Let's see. It got to 50.89. I don't like it. BTG. This gold. See, gold's up because of the market. QEP, I think, is another gas company. You know, spiked and moved. I'm not really loving any of these charts. Beta, I've traded this before in the past, and it's not, a lot of these suck. AOPC, which is, I think, oh no, American. Look at this. All right, this is an example, guys. I have not looked at this stock, I don't know, maybe in a few months. Look at how the stock opened, spiked, couldn't hold that 15.15 level, you know, and that one candle got up and fell below it and then rejected. Look, so it panics down, and then you wait for the spike, and look, it gets rejected right into that 15.15 level. You could have went short. Look where it bounced. These are lines, guys, that I mapped like maybe months ago, and look, this is a perfect example. This is all like organic. Like, I didn't set this up. Just showing you. Like, I just talked about this earlier, and that's how. So if I, like, honestly, if I would have pulled this chart up and I had caught this and I caught the spike, and I trust my lines enough to say, oh, it's rejecting, I'm gonna go short and I'm gonna cover. I'm look to cover 1438, and that's how I trade a lot of times, guys. Believe it or not. CLVS, let's see. CLVS is up. It's up. It's consolidating here sideways. I mean, me personally, I would trade. I wouldn't mind testing some of these stocks, but I don't wanna give these. They're a little more. Those stocks are a little more complex to trade. I'm just trying to find something that's simple. Let's see. You know what? I'm just gonna leave Krone and ACB. Maybe I'll put what was the other one? I think NBEV, I think, is another wheat stock. I'll just put those three. All right, so let's use NBEV. Okay, these are lines that I had mapped previously. Let's see. Okay, so All right, these are lines that I had mapped previously. Let's see. So we're at the 15-minute chart. It's a little choppy. You know, it's kind of like doesn't have a lot of range. But you know, just for the sake of just showing you this, and we'll see how it reacts Monday. That was the top Friday. This was the bottom. It kind of, you know, shorts covered before they didn't want to hold over the weekend, and we're gonna see how it reacts. So I'm looking at this stock, looking at the top, the bottom. We want to see what's the next level above. Like right here, I think I would, you know, mark this because this is where it pivoted, and then I would look to see below, you know, where it kind of pivoted, and I would look potentially down here at this level. This is kind of where it took off, and it's very, very choppy. Obviously, you can see here. It's very, very, very choppy, and I would map this only because this is kind of where it took off and went up on this run up, and then it pulled back here. So if it broke down here 458, I think potentially, I mean, it could bounce here and all these other levels, but I think potentially this thing could get back to, I would say, 432, or even down here in this 426 level, and you can go short. So if it pops to this, let's say, oops, and I didn't map these, 496. All right, but let's say if it pops and it gets up to this 490 level and it gets rejected, it can, you know, fade, and you can get down maybe technically back to like 420. So, you know, it's like 80 cents you could potentially get. So it might be worth it. It's a $4 stock, so you probably get shares easy, and you can, you know, make some significant money shorting this if you got the range. But we'll see. It doesn't have a lot of range. It did on though Thursday. It went from 415 to 5. You got a whole $1. So we'll see. We'll see how it reacts. All right. So now let's look at 3 losers. AMD's been like my bread and butter. I've been making ton shorting and long in this. I told everybody AMD would be back at 15. It got as low as 16. I think it's heading back to 15 lower, especially with this market, because everything is overvalued. And I have all these lines mapped, so obviously I'm gonna have to delete them just so I can show you. Oops, let me pull up the other one. All right, so here, let me delete these lines. Clear drawing. All right, so we'll start from here. We'll look at the top and bottom on this day. So this was the top, and you got a lot of range on AMD. See, don't let these fools lie to you and tell you that you don't get range on these high price stocks. That's bullshit. You just don't get the return. Like, you don't get 1000% moves, obviously, with a higher price stock. That's probably the more accurate thing. You know, you get them with low floats, but you won't get them with these big stocks. So this is the high, this is the low, and then I'm looking at where it kind of, there was some support, so it pivoted here. So I would map that, and then I would kind of look to see, all right, where did it top? So right here, this is an area where it bounced off of, and then I would map this area here. I would map this area here, and then you can see it got all the way down here, and then it kind of bounced up here and then faded. So what I would be looking at AMD, right? So now you want to say, okay, where's the next area of support below? In the event it can't hold 1917. So I'm looking down. So right here, this would be an area of significance, because this is where 1880 is where it started the trend and it started to go up. And this is where an area where it pivoted before it went down, right here, right? So before it went down this way, so that $19 area is an area that I would particularly be interested in. And also this 1891 area, you see it like double bottomed here before it moved up. So these are the areas that I would be looking at to potentially, you know, cover. So if it broke 1926, you know, and more than likely what's going to happen is you're going to see a spike pre-market. It's going to get to an area, and then it's going to get rejected, and then it's going to fade. If it's going to fade lower tomorrow, then you could potentially see how it reacts to 19. And if it can't hold 19, then 1891 would be another area, and then 1880. I think potentially this thing could go down to 1880 tomorrow. I think you're going to get a spike, and then you're going to get more fade. That's what I think is going to happen with AMD. All right, so be careful though. AMD can rip. I mean, if there's news tomorrow, positive news, you know, if you see the SPY moving higher, you know, you got to be mindful of all that, because that's AMD moves with the SPY a lot. All right, so that's AMD. All right, so let's look at some other biggest percentage losers. AKRX, man, this went from 5 to 3. This got some range. Now, it probably normally doesn't have that kind of range. Trade 26 million shares. Normally trade 3 million shares a day. I'll just add it just because of the range. So let's see let's pull up the chart. All right, so here, let me clear this. It's only one line. So I would be looking to see how it's gonna react tomorrow, because you have some range here. So so I'm gonna obviously map this line, and I don't think it's gonna fill the gap tomorrow, but you never know. I mean, anything's possible in the stock market, right? So I would map this because this is where it pivoted, and then this obviously is where it tanked. So I would map that. It got all the way down here, so I would map this. I would map this candle. This is super important. There's a lot of volume here, and I'll map this, and then I would map this, and then this, because there's a lot of, because this is where these are the areas where the stock sort of pivoted. In theory, you can map this too, because this is kind of where it bounced up and then it shifted momentum and then bounced up. So these are all the momentum shifts. So I would be looking to see if the stock is going to get up and test. It's probably going to tank, but I would look to see a spike and see if it can get to one of these levels and get rejected. You might get more fade. You know, I don't expect it to get all the way back up. And let's say if it got all the way back up anyway, it's probably going to come here and then it's going to fade. And you capitalize that. That's what day trading is, guys. You're capitalizing on moves, you know, to get some momentum. Not everybody can trade the low float stocks. You know, they don't have the shares, the access to the shares. They don't have the brokerages, you know, to get all those shares for the penny stock. So it's not a strategy that works for everyone. You know, when you see guys like Ducks who post these 6-figure wins, remember, he's taking massive size. He has a TradeZero account, which they're very good with locating shares, and he's borrowing. And trust me, as he's taking those big wins, but he's also taking those big losses. He just doesn't post them. So that's why you can't give him the credibility that he feels like he probably thinks he deserves, because he's not being honest about when he loses. He's not posting those big losses. If you're in a slow float stock and you're in 60, 70, 80,000 shares, and that stock rips, because there's gonna be times where the pattern is not gonna go, act accordingly, and it's gonna rip against you. You can't just get out like that, So he's taking massive losses too. Trust me, he probably got some 6-figure losses that he just won't post. He wants you to believe that all he does is make all this money, and he loses $300, $500, a couple of thousand. He's lying. He's lying. Alex A2R09 is honest. Like, you see how he takes big wins and big losses? That's what's happening with Ducks. That's a very honest, that's more of a realistic scenario of what happens when you take that kind of size. You have to be prepared to take monster losses, and he's not posting them, and that's why I don't respect him, because he should be honest about that. He got people in his room paying all that money. He should be real about his losses. So anyway, SQ. So SQ got some range. I mean, this is a high price stock, obviously, but it went from 60 to 59, 66 to 59. That is a lot of range, 7 points, and that's a lot. 7% is a lot for a $6 stock, And you also had AAL. Look at this big move. I mean, you're gonna see just tons and tons and tons of big losses. Big went from 40 to 30, 10 points, which is 23% of the stock. UNFI. I mean, huge losses. I'm gonna put big because big was down so much that it has range. So let's see. And it normally trades 1 million shares. It traded 13 million shares. It may not have, the volume. We'll see, but I'll add it, and then I'll stop with that. And then you gotta get the picture. Obviously I could have did my due diligence before I made this video, but I just wanted to do it in real time just so you guys can see. Hopefully I'm not boring you too much. But all right, so this stock, I mean, it had this crazy gap down. I think it had some bad earnings, and these stocks eventually fill the gap, but I don't see it happening anytime soon, only because we're in a different type of market now. But anything's possible. So I would be mapping to see. So this is where the trend started. All right, so you can see this thing came all the way down here. This is kind of where it found its support before it kind of pivoted, and then it pivoted up here, and then I would map each area here, because all these areas are areas to potentially potential rejection areas of the stock. All right, so it's So it's down here. You just gotta be careful when you trade these stocks, because you know, a lot of these big high price stocks, you know, you got the algos and you can get, they'll rip you to shreds. So you have to be real careful about trading these stocks. So yeah, so here are the support and resistance lines. So, you know, I would look to see it spike and then retest this sort of level here of this what's the low here, 3164. I put 3163, but it's 3163, 3164 level. And you know, it has a lot of volume here, 4.5 million shares traded in that 30-minute time frame. So it's gonna need the volume to break above it. So I would love to see it spike, kind of retest this area and then get rejected, and then you go short, and this thing could potentially break down and break the low and just keep going down. I mean, if we look at the 1-year chart, you know, shit, this thing is just getting demolished. It was at $64, it's now 31. But if you're you know, a person, you know, doesn't have a lot of money, this is what you want to see. You want to see these big companies stock go down to shit so that you can get in and then, you know, hold for the long term, you know, and that's how you can build some wealth. You know, the whole market's overvalued, guys. You're gonna see Apple break down below 160. You're gonna see Facebook below 100. You're gonna see Amazon lose, like, you know, 20% probably of its worth. I mean, you're gonna just see it's so rigged, it's so inflated that this is just bullshit. And I've been saying this forever. So, you know, those are the stocks that I put on my watch list. You know, if I see any, I'll post it on Twitter. But a lot of times too, I'll just trade stocks like that I just see pop in pre-market. Like Chrome wasn't on my watch list. I just saw that it was moving, and I saw it before I left to work. When I got to work, pulled up the chart, and boom, I was in. You know, I took that and you should follow TLRY. I only took 200 shares of TLRY, and I made like $600 on 200 shares. You know, so you know, I took a nice trade on TLRY. I called it out in the room, and you know, it has some nice range. So if TLRY come Monday, it will follow Crone and everything else. So if Crone fades, expect TRY to fade. You know, and if you can afford to buy 100, 200 shares, take it. I mean, you get many points on this. You know, I got like 3 points on this. So, you know, but the spreads are crazy. I don't really recommend trading, to be quite honest with you, unless you got experience. Don't trade more than 100 or 200 shares if you're not comfortable trading, because the spreads are crazy. But yeah, so I hope you found this helpful. Enjoy your weekend, and you know, let me know what you